Hello there. This is my assignment for What is STEM? Introducing me, my name is Jason Garcheski. I am a fifth grade teacher in the Elanco School District, and I teach reading, writing, spelling, grammar, mathematics, science, and social studies. I originally graduated with an undergraduate degree in elementary education from Millersville University. I was hired in Pequea Valley School District as a Title I tutor for a year, and then I made the transition to a full-time classroom teacher in Eastern Lancaster County. That was quite a while ago. Since then, I have gotten my master's degree from Wilkes University, and now I'm looking to get a STEM endorsement at Millersville. My professional goal, I love teaching science and watching children make discoveries in science. Perhaps the best way to achieve this goal would require becoming a STEM educator. Between now and that time, I would like to incorporate STEM into my math instruction to bring more interest and meaning to the curriculum. For me personally, I said a picture is worth 1,000 words. So here are several pictures related to me. You can see we've got some vacation photos there of my family. There is a photo of me coaching, a book, and then chess, which are all things that I love and enjoy doing as a pastime. My personal life, I'm a father of two great children. There's Catherine and Matthew. I was a wrestling coach for 10 years, and I've decided to take some time off from that. And I enjoy spending time with my family, cooking, reading, playing and coaching chess, and traveling. And just today, for example, with chess, we took 4 students to the intermediate unit chess tournament, and our kids did a fantastic job. They won first and second place in the tournament. So I was very proud of them. They did a great job. My perspective on STEM education is illustrated by this picture. I start in the upper left-hand corner with a problem or a challenge for the students, and then we move to the right. There need to be some sort of limits or conditions set so that the students have some boundaries in which to meet the problem or challenge. We move on from there into the creation and then the application phase, where the kids build the project, solve problems along the way, and come up with their own solutions. And then the next step is evaluation. As we move to the left, the evaluation phase is when they look back at their project, see how it performed, see if it met their goal, and whether or not they consider it a success. And of course, you can see the arrow then moves back to the problem and challenge, because when you work on solving some sort of problem, very often other problems necessarily come up along the way. So there is sort of a circle effect going on here with STEM projects. I also have in the middle, or the center of this sort of wheel, is the student or students. They're at the center of it. That's what this is all about, teaching them and helping them learn. And then each step along the way, the teacher is present for guidance, not for easy answers, and not to answer every question the kids have, because very often discovery requires the kids to get hands-on and figure things out for themselves. But the teacher is always there to lend support, but not always provide answers. So to me, that is the process that a STEM classroom or a STEM activity needs to follow. Why is it important to increase STEM literacy? Well, here in the United States, as well as around the world, job creation is an issue. And the more people we have who are becoming engineers and scientists, the more jobs that those professions tend to create. It cascades from them creating new scientific discoveries or building new things, and that will result in more jobs that are related to the things that they create. Another reason why it is so important to increase STEM literacy is that the future's problems and challenges are very complex. That's not to say that problems and challenges were ever simple in life, but these days, with all the interconnectedness in the world, we are facing very complex problems and challenges. We have all kinds of amazing resources and discoveries on which to build the solutions, and hopefully with STEM literacy becoming more common, we'll have more people, better ideas, more makers, more tinkerers, more scientists, engineers who can help solve these problems and the problems in the future that we've yet to even face. A couple other things that stand out to me. STEM literacy, if it's done well, will lead to intellectually persistent people. These will be people who realize and recognize that easy answers just aren't out there, and they're willing to put in the intellectual effort to solve problems. STEM literacy also promotes questioning and critical thinkers. So we've got to develop more of this. I think for a democracy to function well, you need people who are questioning and critical thinkers. They don't just accept things that are told to them as fact, but they're capable of thinking about what is told to them and using their skills to judge whether or not it makes sense or if they believe what they're hearing is correct. The desired outcomes of a STEM program, I believe the desired outcomes of STEM education are the development of knowledge and skills through interdisciplinary activities. The pictures here sort of illustrate what I'm thinking of. STEM really should be hands-on, interactive, involving multiple disciplines to create something, to deal with a problem, going back to that circle I had earlier, using that process to create new things and new items, and as well as new knowledge for the students. It's a creative process, similar to art in some ways, but in this case, we're creating products that could be used by others to solve problems. Measuring success in a STEM program is certainly challenging. There are several metrics available that you could choose to use, but even those metrics might be different depending on the perspective of the program. So for example, if we're talking about a high school program where it is an exclusively STEM-related school, well, the metrics by which they would measure their success might be very different than the metrics in an average or typical public school in, say, Lancaster, Pennsylvania. That school that is like, I would describe it as a magnet school that focuses on STEM exclusively, you would expect with the talent pool of students they have there that they would be all placed into colleges, programs, or careers after high school that relate to STEM. And if you choose to use that as a metric, that would definitely make a lot of sense for a school like that. Now, for a typical Lancaster County school that doesn't have that sort of magnet quality about it, I don't think that that would necessarily be the best way to go. You could still perhaps note an increase if you collect enough data before you have a STEM program, and then after you have a STEM program, checking on kids' entry into STEM-related majors in college or STEM-related fields when they go into the work world. But there are so many different ways to measure success with STEM. I think it all depends on what type of program you're talking about, what grade level. As an elementary teacher, I would probably not consider placement in college as a good indicator of how our STEM program is working at the elementary school. So there are a lot of different factors to focus on when it comes to this. A successful program is going to have rigorous standards. It will have teachers who have a capacity and a district commitment toward developing the professional staff, because very often we found out that the teacher capacity may be lacking in some districts where the teachers have not majored in science, let's say, or mathematics. So you're going to need a district that's willing to develop the professional staff. You're going to have horizontal and vertical coherence when it comes to standards, teaching, and assessment. So you have to have agreement between your standards, what activities the kids are doing, and how you're assessing them on the horizontal level. And then in the vertical level, you're going to need the state standards to match with the district standards to match with the activities that are going on in the classroom. Adequate instructional time is a must. There's no way around it. You absolutely need time in order to develop a successful program, and the students need time as well to become proficient at the skills required for a successful STEM program. Equal access, we need boys, girls, minorities, everybody needs to be involved in this and encouraged. Very often, young women tend to avoid some of these fields, and it's important that we make sure that they don't have those gender biases interfering with their potential. And finally, we need a school that values and supports the learning process that goes on in a STEM classroom. The educational practices of successful programs, you're going to see teachers that identify the interests of the learners and build on those interests and experiences to drive the process. It's going to recognize that the process in STEM education is no less important than any product that gets created. In fact, the process is probably the most valuable element of this. The product is simply something to get children to go through the process. When it gets refined enough, then the product might stand out as being a little more significant, but the process, at least early on, is a very, very important part of STEM education. And then finally, it maintains the interest of the learner through challenges and activities. It's necessarily hands-on and minds-on. It's very engaging for students, and that's the beauty of STEM. School system support of STEM. Schools need to budget time and money to allow STEM education to achieve its potential benefit for students. If they're not willing to fund it or provide the time necessary to develop STEM programs, it will not work. STEM education can and should begin in the elementary grades. I can't emphasize that enough. And then leadership that endorses and supports STEM programs is critical for any school system to develop a good STEM program. Integrating STEM into my own classroom, just in the reading that I've done so far, my perspective has already changed. I was very science focused, and this already has begun to shape my view differently. STEM could be incorporated in simple ways at this point by connecting learning in science or social studies with content in math. But what I'm really shooting for here is this. Given more time to develop it and development, it would be possible to create tools, for students to create tools, conduct experiments, and collect data that also integrates all components of STEM. So there's no reason why science and math and technology and engineering can't merge in, say, my math class, or continue it on into my, quote-unquote science class to develop STEM activities and further the kids' thinking and involvement and learning. Finally, my goals. A major goal for this course is to develop an awareness of the opportunities to incorporate STEM education into my curriculum, and that's already taking place, and to make my classroom a more engaging place for students to learn and experiment. And another goal I have for this course is to identify the best practices in STEM education so that I will be able to be the most effective STEM educator I can become. That covers my goals for today and my presentation, so thank you very much for your attention.